Hi guys, Assalamualaikum and greetings. Welcome back to the second chapter of MKT243, and today in this particular video I'm going to explain to you on understanding consumer behavior. So there are four learning objectives. Basically there are four topics in this particular chapter. First, we're going to look into what is actually a consumer buying behavior. And then in the second part of this chapter, we're going to learn on factors influencing consumer buying decisions. And then this is very important. Number three, consumer decision making process. And lastly, the types of consumer buying decision. So let's get started. So consumer buying behavior, from the word consumer itself, this is where the buying behavior of final consumers or even individuals or the users or even for the household consumption, okay? And it does not include things that you buy for your business or for the use of other production, but rather it is for individual or personal consumption or even your family consumption. Okay, so the consumer buying behaviors here, we are going to look into what or how can consumer make their decision to purchase a product or a service, and also how would they use and dispose the product. So that is when we're going to learn all those factors as well as the process, right, on how to understand this particular consumer behavior. Like you imagine yourself when you want to buy things, okay? So usually when you wanted to buy expensive things like your laptop, your smartphones, and so on, okay? So there are many things that you will do first before you buy, isn't it? You normally may wanted to do some research, which you call it to survey things, all right? Or you may want to ask your friends, okay, look into the or look up into the internet to see what are the latest model and so on, all right? So these are actually the behavior that people will go through when they wanted to buy things. And then here, the second one, we're going to learn on what are the factors influencing consumer buying decision. Basically, there are four, which are cultural factors, social factors, psychological factors, as well as the individual factors. Usually, all these factors comes along together. It comes from the culture first, okay, looking into the culture, and then after that, move on to the social factors, psychological, and lastly the individual factors. Although most of the time individual factors are the one that actually influence the most, but there are also other factors, these three, that to be considered. Now let's first look at the cultural factors. As you know, culture is learned values, perceptions, wants, and behavior from family and other important institutions. It all because of the culture. Okay, so your ethnicity, okay, what you believe, the nation itself, or normally related to the religion. Okay, so this is the most defining element, which is value. When you talk about value, it is the enduring beliefs shared by a society that a specific mode of conduct is personally or socially preferable to another mode of conduct. Talking about cultural factors, you are thinking of, if you want to buy this particular product, is it culturally correct or is it culturally allowed for you to buy things? For example, we're talking about this festive seasons, okay? When we have festive season during Hari Raya or during Christmas or during Gawai Daya festival, right? So these are the cultural factors, and usually it all because of the culture that makes you buy those things. For example, for Hari Raya, you will, if you're a Muslim and you are celebrating Hari Raya, then you will possibly, of course, think of buying baju kurung or baju Melayu for you to wear during Hari Raya. You're not going to wear a miniskirt, or you're not going to wear an Iban costume during Hari Raya, isn't it? Okay, so the cultural factors also includes other things like whether other than your clothing, okay, it also includes your food that you wanted to buy, the uh, most of the things that is related to how your culture actually shape you to buy those things or not to buy. For example, of course, as a Muslim, you don't buy alcohol drinks, okay, because based on your religion, all right, what you believe, or as according to Al-Quran, alcohol is not allowed for Muslim, okay. Secondly, the social factor. Social factor comes from three different elements, okay. So there are reference group, opinion leaders, and also family members. Talking about a reference group, this is a group that influences an individual's purchasing behavior. Well, as a human being or as a person, you have a reference group that you will always look for, okay, when they have a lot of influence towards you. So consumer will learn and observe, all right, from how these members of your reference group consume, and they use the same criteria to make own consumer decision to purchase the product. Secondly, the opinion leader, which are individuals, okay, or an individual who influences the opinions of others, right? So typically, these opinion leaders are an individual, okay, as compared to the reference group. These are group of people. Unlike the opinion leaders, these are normally individuals like political figures, reputable icons, okay, the social media influencers, movie stars, or even sports figures and other celebrities are the persons that you look for or you look into when they buy things that you may want. If you, let's say, you look up on them and you like this particular opinion leader, you will be most probably also buy things that they buy. And lastly, the family members. Family is the most important social institution which strongly influencing the values, attitude, self-concept, and of course the buying behavior. So whatever is made or whatever you or how you've been brought up, okay, by your family, especially your parents, will somehow or other influence what you purchase. Okay, so the decision-making roles also among family members tend to vary significantly depending on the type of item purchased. Okay, for example, we're talking about a family which they have parents and also kids. Okay, so for example, the kids perhaps thinking of going for a holiday. The parents, of course, the one who actually purchased the holiday package, might also consider if they have kids, they might want to bring the kids for a holiday at the theme park so that the kids can enjoy all the rides and so on. Okay, but if you're talking about family with an adult kids, okay, sorry, not the adult kids, adult or teenagers, maybe they prefer to go to places where they can enjoy for the sightseeing kind of thing. Unlike the small toddlers, they don't really appreciate the nature, isn't it? Okay, so the kids can also influence the parents, and also of course the parents can influence the kids. Like, of course, they are the one who actually, these parents, yeah, are the one who actually make the purchase or come up with the money to buy things. So the children will actually just follow what the parents ask them to buy. Moving on to the third factor, which is the psychological factors. As an individual, okay, their buying decisions are also further influenced by psychological factors. Other than the two just now, which are the culture and also the social factors. So under psychological factors, there are three elements which are perception, motivation, and also learning. Okay, so these factors are what consumers use to interact with their own world. First, we look at the motivation. What is it? It's the driving force that causes a person to take action to satisfy specific needs. So when you want to buy things, there are many things, of course, that you wanted to buy. But what motivates you to buy certain things is because of some driving forces that cause you to do it. Okay? Normally because of the need of what you wanted to have at that particular moment. Secondly is the perception. This is the process by which people select, organize, and interpret the stimuli into a meaningful and coherent picture. Of course, the perception will comes into the mind of consumers before they buy things, especially related to how they believe it was portrayed, okay, the brand itself, the country of origin. Like for example, you tend to have the perception that everything made in Japan are good, okay, everything made in Malaysia are good, for example, okay, and so on, okay. There are some perceptions that you have set in your mind. Whether it's correct or not, it is unproven unless it is actually something that you have purchased before. Then that is about learning, which is a process that creates changes in behavior, immediate or expected, through experience and practice. So let's say you have purchased that thing before, so you are going to learn the experience, okay, which if it is actually a good thing, a good product, a good brand, then you remember that it is actually good, so you learn. And also, if it is not a good brand or it's not a good product, you also learn that next time you will never buy it again. Lastly, the individual factors, okay. So there are three elements, which the first one we look into the personality and self-concept, the first two. Okay, so personality, which refers to the unique psychological characteristics that lead to consistent and lasting response to the consumer's environment. We can actually see our own personality by looking into what are our likings, okay, and how we want to portray it to other people, right? So this is just an example. Some people are having a dominant personality, okay, influential personality, or a steady one, or a compliant one, okay. So that is when you can actually see if, let's say, you are a dominant person. So these are the things that normally a dominant person will buy, okay. If, let's say, you're a steady person, then perhaps you might want to look into things that are much more stable, okay, and sincere and so on, okay. That is about personality. Next one is the self-concept. This is how consumers perceive themselves in terms of attitude, perceptions, beliefs, and self-evaluations. You may want to look into these two together, because normally with that particular personality comes with that particular self-concept, which that's why these two comes together. Next one, the buying decisions of a person are also influenced by their personal characteristics, such as the gender, age, life cycles, and also your, of course, the two just now that I mentioned, personality and self-concept, and also later lifestyle. Talking about age and life cycle stage, uh, as you age, right, things that you wanted to buy would be different as compared to when you are little kids. The things that normally you wanted to buy are like candy, ice creams, or toys, isn't it? Okay, as you grow up, okay, those are the things that you don't want to buy anymore, or you stop liking all those things. That is because your life cycle. It could also be when you're looking into a family stage as well. Okay, a family stage whereby when you are single, there are things that you buy differently. After that, you get married, okay, or during dating time, looking at this particular picture, then you will be normally spending time together, right? And then as you get married, right, then you start to have kids. The things that you buy are normally for the whole family. Okay, when the kids are small, then things are different, and while when the kids are actually already grow up, okay, so things will be also different. And of course, as you are an older person, okay, or an elderly people, things that they buy are different as well, like what you have learned in chapter 1. Okay, you can see the generations from baby boomers to generation Z, okay, things that they buy different. So these are because of the individual factor, typically because of their age, their life cycle, as well as their family life cycle. The what they call it, taste in food change, okay, the clothes, the furniture, and also recreation, and how you want to spend your time are also because of age related. And buying is also shaped by the stage of your family cycle. Because normally when you have small kids, then everything will be concentrated or focused on spending more money or things to make sure that the baby or the kids can actually get all the basic necessities. Okay, and as you already have independent kids, which you do not need to spend for them anymore, then most of the time you'll be spending time together with your spouse. Lastly, in the individual factors, we're going to look at the lifestyle. Okay, so lifestyle is a person's pattern of living as expressed in his or her AIO. Okay, what is AIO? It is the activities, interests, and opinions. So people will live their life in different kind of lifestyle. Okay, so some are like having corporate lifestyle whereby they work 24/7, or they always, you know, attend all the corporate events and meetings and so on. So they have this corporate lifestyle. They keep on wearing their suit, you know, that suit up kind of persons wearing a formal attire all the time, right? And there are also bohemian lifestyle, which people can, you know, the bohemian, what they do is like they are more freely compared to this corporate lifestyle. Okay, so there are also creative lifestyle where people like to, you know, involve in arts, okay, doing a lot of activities. And then there are a socialite lifestyle, you know, a socialite lifestyle where these are the people who always like to party, you know, go for fashion or very high end uh, activities. Okay, and lastly there are also academic lifestyle, because usually as a student you might have this academic lifestyle, which most of your time will be um, surround towards the academics. Okay, moving on to the third part of this chapter, which is consumer decision making process. So just now you have learned what are the factors. Okay, when you want to buy things or before you buy things, you are looking into all those factors, the four factors just now. Then you come to the time whereby you think that, okay, I will want to buy a product. Okay, especially a new product that you never bought before, or an expensive item, which you will generally follow the consumer decision making process as like what is shown here. Okay, I bet you have been going through this particular process, but you did not realize it. Okay, so there are 5 steps, which is the need recognition, information search, after that evaluation of alternatives, then the purchase decision, and lastly the post-purchase behavior. Let's look at the first step. So the first step is the need recognition. Now, it occurs when the buyer recognizes a problem or need which triggered by either internal stimuli or the external stimuli. When you wanted to buy things, okay, normally it's because there's a need for you to buy it. Okay, there's a need, which of course, if we talk about the internal stimuli, it is from a person's normal need, or it is within your own body. Okay, biologically you need it. For example, um your stomach feel hungry. Okay, that is when you think, oh, okay, I need to eat something, I need to buy food. Okay, or you feel thirsty, or you feel a headache, or you don't feel well, because of having some headache, or you have fever. So that is, there is a need for you, you know that you need to have, or you need to go to the clinic, or you need to take the medicine. While external stimuli, it stem from outside sources, okay, like for example an advertisement that you watch on television, okay, or you see a design of a package, a color of a car, a cologne worn by a stranger, which you can actually sense this external stimuli from your 5 senses. Okay, I bet you know that you have 5 senses, right? From your eyes you have the sight, and then from your ears you can hear something. Okay, and then you have a sense or the smell from your nose, the taste from your tongue, okay, taste of something. And also number 5 is the touching, by you feel something from the touch of your hands or your skin. So marketing manager's objective is normally to get consumers to recognize this imbalance between present status and their preferred state, which, because when there is a need, you don't feel and if there is a need and you do not have that particular product or you do not have that thing, then you feel uncomfortable. Okay, or this is where the marketing manager comes into the place, which they are trying, or they can use advertising and promotion to provide the stimulus. Survey buyer preference to know their wants and needs to tailor the products and services that are suitable for their needs. Now, second step, which is the information search. You already recognize there is a need for you to buy things. Okay, now, what you do next, okay, before buying, especially the new or expensive things, let's take an example. You wanted to buy a new smartphone. So, you realize that there is a need for you to buy a new smartphone. Perhaps in the first step just now, there is a need recognition because, let's say, your old phone is broken or you lost your phone, okay, or your phone is no longer function as at its best. So you recognize there is a problem with that particular current state. Therefore, you decide that, okay, I need to buy a new one. So what you do next will be searching for information. So it can occur internally, externally, or even both. Okay, so internal information, just remember that it is from your own past experience, which is stored in the memory. If it is not from your past experience, or you recalling past information that you ever heard someone say that before, okay, you are trying to look into what is in your mind, that is internal information search. While the external information search is the process of seeking information in the outside environment. So where is this outside environment? The sources could be from your own personal sources like family and friends. So you ask around your family what type of phone did they use, your friends what type of smartphone that they like or they are using, and you start to ask whether those particular smartphones are actually a good one or not, how well that particular smartphone function, and so on. Okay, so these are from your personal sources. Other than that, it can also be from the commercial sources, which this is from the official advertising or from the internet, okay, that put up the advertisement on that particular brand or model. Next, it could also be from the public sources, which from the mass media, from other consumers, or even the organization itself. And lastly, from the experiential sources, which you actually go and actually try to handle it, examining and using, or try to explore that particular product. Like you go to the shop, okay, you go and find that particular phone, and then you go and try to use it for a while, okay, and look into that particular product. That is your experiential sources. So after you have find out all this particular information, okay, you will actually move on to the third step, which is evaluation of alternatives. Of course, there are many brands that are available in the market, isn't it? So you are going to actually think of which brand that you should buy, which model that you should buy. So this is when you start to evaluate your alternative. Evaluation involves the development of a set of criteria. Of course, you will go into what are the important things or the important functions, okay, which we call the criteria here, which meet your expectation or your needs. Okay, this standard will help consumer evaluate and compare the alternatives. So we have this what we call evoke set. Okay, evoke set is actually a consideration set, which is a group of brands resulting from an information search from which a buyer can choose. Which perhaps, let's say you have in your mind, there are a few brands that you wanted to buy because it meets your criteria, or you feel that, okay, in order for me to have a new smartphone, it has to be good in terms of its camera. You want it to be certain color or black or white or whatever color that you like, okay, and then the processor, the apps that you can actually use in that particular smartphone. What are the specialty of certain things that you need in order for you to use the smartphone that you wanted to buy. Example, out of out of 10, there are only 3 that you think wanted to buy. In this case, it's a laptop or your phone. Just now, you might think of, okay, you don't like Apple products, so you may not want to include that Apple iPhone in your criteria set or your consideration set, sorry, your evoke set just now. Okay, so perhaps now you have Huawei, you have Xiaomi or Oppo or Samsung brand. So these are the things that you will actually further look into, where you set your cutoffs, all right? The cutoff, which is the minimum or the maximum level of an attribute that determine whether a product will be considered as a viable choice or not. Okay, sometimes as you try to consider, okay, which brand should I actually buy? Somehow or other, you might want to add a new brand into that particular evoke set. That could also happen. Right? So as you evaluate and you see whichever criteria that met your expectation or your needs and wants, so you come to the conclusion that, okay, you wanted to buy a Huawei brand, for example. Once you reach your decision or you already know which model, which brand to buy, that is when you have come to the fourth step here. So consumer will reach to the point of deciding whether or either to buy or not to buy. So specifically, consumer must decide if should I buy or shouldn't I buy? Am I going to buy this or am I not going to buy it? So if let's say the answer is yes, then you may want to decide on what type of the product or what brand is it, which model is it. Okay, and then you may want to decide when to buy. Are you going to buy today? Are you going to buy later tonight or in the afternoon? Or are you going to buy tomorrow? Okay, and then where are you going to buy it? All right, where to buy it? Are you going to go to the shop? All right, or specific retailer, or you only want to buy it online? Okay, and which website and which platform that you're going to purchase it, and how you are going to pay for the product. So these are the decisions, right, that you have to make when you decided that, okay, I'm going to buy this particular phone just now. So let's say yes, you are buying your Huawei just now, right? And then you think, oh, okay, I'm going to buy Huawei phone. I'm going to buy it at the Huawei shop in Wisma Sebekas, for example, or Viva City Mall, for example. So I'm going to go today, later in the afternoon or at night, okay? And I'm going to pay using my debit card, right? Because you already have your money inside that particular account. So this is a decision, and then you go to the shop and you buy the product. Lastly, after you make the purchase, okay, so you have bought the phone, right, the product. So when buying the product, consumer will expect certain outcomes, right? When you know, okay, I have made my research, okay, you call it the research by doing all the information seeking, doing the alternative evaluation and so on, and then you decide that I'm buying this product. After that, how well these expectations are met determines whether the consumer is satisfied or dissatisfied with the purchase. Are you happy or not with that particular purchase? So when consumers recognize inconsistency between their values or opinion and their behavior, they tend to feel an inner tension. Basically, if let's say it doesn't work as it is, or it doesn't work as what you expected, then you are actually encountering what we call it the cognitive dissonance. So what is actually cognitive dissonance? This is a feelings of inattention, okay, or dissatisfaction, or there is a gap between you're supposed to be happy or you're supposed to be contented because you have purchased the product that you thought, okay, you expect it to be good, but somehow or other after you purchase it, there is a feeling of regret or dissatisfied or unhappy. Okay, so that is what we call the cognitive dissonance. So To reduce cognitive dissonance, okay, consumer can justify the decision, seek a new information. Let's say, how come this doesn't work like this? So you go and find out in their website, okay, how actually this particular Huawei phone works. So then you know how it actually can function well. And you might also avoid contradictory information, like some negative reviews about the product. So you try to avoid that because you don't want to enhance your feelings of regret after buying, right? Not. Or worst come to worst, if let's say there's a what they call money back guarantee kind of thing, that when you purchase that thing, if you feel dissatisfied or something wrong with the product, you can just return it. So what consumer can do is actually to return the product, and then you start again to do the alternative evaluation and make the decision whether to purchase or not. What the marketers can do when to reduce this particular cognitive dissonance is that send the post-purchase thank you or letter, okay? Or nowadays they don't do that by letter itself, they send email, okay? So they ask you to register for that particular product warranty and so on, and then you congratulate the consumer for making the right decision or for making the genius decision for buying that particular product, okay? And then you also display product superiority in the ads, and of course offer the guarantee, right? That will actually helps to reduce the cognitive dissonance for the consumers. Lastly, in this particular chapter, we're going to learn on the types of consumer buying decision. Okay. uh, of course, when you go through that particular process just now, okay, the 5 steps from the need recognition until the post-purchase behavior, not every product you're going to go to each and every step. Okay, like when you want to buy soft drinks, for example, you will not need to actually go through all the 5 steps, isn't it? It normally starts with, okay, there is a need recognition. I'm feeling thirsty, so I need to drink. So you go to the store and just buy. You don't need to do some information seeking by looking at what are the best soft drinks. You don't need to go and ask your friend, what should I buy for my iftar later on, okay? Or when I want to go for my lunch later on, what should I drink? You don't need to do that, isn't it? So normally it is just you need to buy it. After that, you make a decision to purchase, and normally you don't even really bother about the post-purchase behavior, right? So there are types, okay, of consumer buying decision, which there are 3 of them: routine response behavior, limited decision making, and extensive decision making. So extensive decision making typically occurs with those 5 steps just now that we learned, okay, which is the most complex type of consumer decision making. This is used when buying an unfamiliar, expensive product or an infrequently bought items, okay, like your smartphone. You don't buy every day. Your laptop, you also don't buy like every year, right? So it requires of use of several criteria for evaluating options, and also much time for you to seek for the information. This is extensive decision making. On the contrary, the easiest one to make decision is what we call the routine response behavior. This is easy because when you see the word routine, meaning to say this type of decision making exhibited by consumer buying frequently purchase low cost goods and services, and of course it requires little search and decision time, because you always buy it. Okay, for example, your coffee mix. So if let's say all this while you always buy Nescafe, then next time when your Nescafe has run out of stocks, so you will go and buy Nescafe again. Okay, or your toothbrush or toothpaste, okay, or your shampoo. This is a routine response, things that you always buy because of the price also quite cheap, okay, and not expensive. So you just think, oh, okay, I ran out of my shampoo, so next time I go out, I'm gonna buy the shampoo, okay. And although you may not want to buy the same brand, but it doesn't requires you a very extensive time, just like extensive decision making, okay, to purchase a shampoo. You don't need to even Google one by one, you know, and then ask your friends what shampoo do you use, look into the commercials, ask for opinion of others on what type of shampoo should you use. No, okay, you don't do that. So that is routine response behavior. Well, in the middle here is what we call the limited decision making, which is in between here. All right, it's not really frequently you purchase or not really that rare that you purchase the product. Okay, so the type of decision making that requires a moderate amount of time for gathering information and deliberating about an unfamiliar brand in a familiar product category. Okay, so normally limited decision making related to the things that you go for shoppings. All right, for example, when you wanted to buy a new pair of sneakers or new pair of shoes, okay, or new handbags or a backpack. Okay, so you don't really buy that every day, but you don't really bother to think for so long, like when you wanted to buy your handphones or your laptop, isn't it? Okay, so you might just go to one particular mall and then you go around the shops. Okay, go what they call it, window shopping. All right, you try a few shoes and then after that you come to the decision, okay, I want to buy this particular shoe. Or you try on a few clothes that you try in the fitting room. Okay, few clothes that you take, and then after that you don't like it, then never mind, you just put it back, you go to another shop, and then after that you come to the decision, okay, I'm going to buy this particular shirt, for example. Okay, so limited decision making is not that frequent. Of course, you don't go and take it immediately, just like when you wanted to buy mineral water or your toothpaste. Okay, so you just go there and then take. That is routine response behavior. But limited decision making requires a little bit of effort, okay, a little bit of time, okay, and then you make the decision to actually purchase the product. All right, so with that, we finished the whole chapter 2. And if you have questions, of course, you can ask me in our Telegram chat. And I hope you'll be able to understand this second chapter. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.